Welcome to the AFR Saints channel, where we provide you daily content on your favorite team, the New Orleans Saints. Do us a favor and hit that subscribe button. Be sure to leave your comments below and smash that like button. Who dat? Let's start, if we could, with Saints coaching search. Can you just update us? We've heard the names. Can you just update us and catch up where they are right now in the process?
Yeah, the names that have confirmed been done are obviously Doug Peterson, Brian Flores, Aaron Glenn. At some point today, Dennis Allen and Darren Rizzi were going to interview. I don't know if those interviews are completed yet. And then there's another candidate that was not named because they haven't been able to schedule that interview yet, or connect whatever with logistics or whatever the case may be. So they have to, I guess, sort of wait in that regard. But by the end of today, early tomorrow, there should be 5 candidates officially interviewed for the job, and they want to contact the 6th candidate as well. There could be more, but it looks like that's the field at this point.
I've speculated that candidate is Byron Leftwich because we know they did formally request an interview. Is that a safe assumption?
Yes.
Okay.
I would assume that as well.
Oh, okay.
I don't know that for certain, but all signs would lead to that being the guy. But I cannot say that for certain, but strong chance.
So, look, when Mickey Loomis speaks to the media, Sean, he's obviously just very close to the vest. Same way as like pre-draft and all that sort of stuff. I don't expect him to tip his hand, but look, you follow the team. You know the front office people. Do you think this is something where they're looking specifically offensive guy, defensive guy? Are they looking to maintain lean in-house? Like, do you have any feel for that part of the search?
Yeah, I don't think it's offensive or defensive. I think when you listen to Mickey Loomis and you hear him talk, there's this theme of continuity, of culture, of we're not rebuilding. We're not tear this thing down. We're in a much better place than we were 16 years ago when we had to make the first hire. So I don't think it's an offensive or defensive box they're looking to check. It's going to be about fit, as they always say. But the last couple of times he spoke with us, and it's rare that he speaks with us this much around this time. He usually gives us once around this time at the Senior Bowl. We talked to us a couple of days ago, obviously, as well. But that's really generally the theme. So they do not feel like they're in a bad spot right now. So they're not going to do anything that's going to necessarily rock that chemistry, if you will, or rock that foundation. So it's not going to necessarily fall into the offensive or defensive priority. It's going to be much more about keeping the continuity and building on what they've obviously built over the last run of success.
Sean Fazande's with us, Fox 8 New Orleans, on Twitter at Sean Fazende, Fox 8. Do you know if any of these candidates, or is there an expectation that any candidates will get a second interview?
It depends on if they want to need a second interview. Pretty much, these interviews are pretty thorough. It's just a matter of, did they get everything that they needed to get through in the first interview, or if they didn't get through everything they needed to get through in the first interview, do they need a second interview? So I don't necessarily think that's a guarantee. In other words, the guy that gets the job gets a second interview, or that's a clue to who's getting the head coaching job. There's a strong chance that it could all get done in one interview. But if they needed to, cross some T's, dot some I's with a guy, maybe wanted to follow up on a few things, and certainly a second interview would certainly not be out of the question. But I don't think that's a guarantee or a necessity with this job.
Sean Fazande's with us. I don't know if Vegas has odds on this thing or anything, but it seems like when you talk, when we all, just the universal, we always have this conversation, it just feels like Dennis Allen is the one everyone thinks is going to get this job. Do you fall in that category? Like, do you think that this is sort of a Dennis Allen front runner likelihood?
Well, Mickey Loomis spoke about continuity. He spoke about culture. He spoke about understanding their culture. Spoke about the right fit. Spoke about success and the knowledge and having head coaching experience. So yes, that's all I have to say. Yes, it certainly sounds like Dennis Allen checks a whole lot of those boxes. When he's going out of his way to say this is not a rebuild or not tearing it down, this is not They haven't bottomed out. They have no intention of bottoming out. They want to keep things going. Sure does seem like the stars are aligning for Dennis Allen's second head coaching opportunity.
What do you think it would take for them to go a different direction if it weren't Dennis Allen?
Someone to wow them, and I believe personally, if they were to go outside the family, if you will, it would be a guy that had head coaching experience, because I just don't think he wants to have the unknown assistant or the up and coming assistant route that doesn't necessarily know the Saints or doesn't necessarily know the ins and outs of being a head coach. I think he would probably want that, at least half of that solidified in terms of a guy with head coaching experience. So, and someone that would obviously get in front of Mickey and blow him away with ideas, vision, fit. Maybe he brings something to the table that they hadn't necessarily thought of before, a different way of looking at play, whatever the case may be. But I think the one thing to go outside of the Saints family, I think it would have to be a former head coach, just given where they're at right now. Again, it doesn't sound like this next coach is going to get a whole lot of a grace period. They're going to have to come in and hit the ground running, and I don't think the expectation of a dip is going to be there. I think they're going to basically have the same expectations they've always had with whomever this new coach is.
I got a couple of more. Look, obviously quarterback is a massive question. It's if there's a 1A, 1B, it's coach and quarterback. Does the potential to lure a quarterback impact this decision? And of course, I'm talking Rodgers, Wilson, like one of the big Deshaun Watson, one of the big names that's out there.
Yeah, that's a great question, because Mickey Loomis was asked about that, and it was I don't want to call it a catch-22, but it was kind of a we can't really get far down the quarterback plan until we get the head coach in place. Yet the head coach is always going to want to know what's the plan for the quarterback. So they're kind of intertwined there. So what I believe is going to happen, they're going to pick the best fit for the organization, and then they're going to go from there with the quarterback position. I think they're starting at ground zero, blank slate when it comes to the quarterback position. And whenever they line up, with this new head coach, they're going to go from there. And I think they're going to take a big swing, regardless of who the head coach is. I think they're going to take a big swing. They always have. They've probably taken them, in years past. We just didn't know about it, and they're going to, do what they can to obviously upgrade that position or, solidify that position, because this is one thing we've learned from this playoffs and every single playoff is that you need the guy to be in the conversation to be a championship team again. So, yes, I think if you go with a guy like Dennis Allen, does that lower your chances of landing an Aaron Rodgers or Russell Wilson? Probably on the surface. I don't know how it would work in terms of making a trade for a guy, but I just think at some point they're going to hire the head coach, and then they're going to be in lockstep with finding that quarterback, because you could probably, as is right now, talk yourself into the Saints making the playoffs next year. If you kept everything the same, playoffs next year, maybe win the division, but you are not going to be in that game in a week from Sunday unless you have the guy, and they know that. So they're going to do everything they can possibly to get that guy. So they are kind of intertwined. I know it was a long answer, but they're all kind of intertwined. But I think, A, they're going to get that coach, and B, they're going to do everything possible to make sure they've got rock-solid production out of that quarterback position.
Did you see that guy in Mobile this week?
I didn't see a whole lot of the practices because I was busy with a lot of the Saints stuff. I don't know. I really wish I could have watched Malik Willis's practice yesterday, because I heard he really played well in the rain. I don't know. I do think this. Let's just say and we'll know by the contract they signed. Let's just say you can't land Rodgers, Watson, Wilson, and you don't make a trade for a guy like Garoppolo and sign him to a long-term deal. Let's just say you run it back with Jameis on a 1-year deal. I still think the draft is very much an option at that point, because, again, if you're only giving a guy a 1-year deal, and maybe that's not the case, maybe that's not their plan, but if you're only giving a guy a 1-year deal, you're not saying he's our future. So you give yourself as much opportunity as possible to get that right.
Is Jameis really going to sign a 1-year deal? It feels like he'll have more options than that. I don't know, man. This is a really fascinating offseason for many obvious reasons.
Oh, my goodness, it is.
We're not going anywhere. Make sure you're following Sean on Twitter. Great stuff as always. I'm sure I'll bother you again down the line, man. Thanks for making time.
All right, bud. Appreciate it.
Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact. And be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.